Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 21st, and we had a brief dip for futures, but they're right back above that 90 level. So it's just maintaining itself within this broader weak condition, and that's because if we wanted this to really punch, you would have seen orange continue its rise. In this case, we've got short-term buyers coming back in to keep it afloat. No change really in the DOC red as much as midterm buyers kind of fading here. We're sort of reaching that inflection point because we've had zero shakeout, relatively speaking, here. If we start to decline a little bit, then I would expect that we're probably going to see a little bit more of a decay. But we're right in the middle range here, and we have the clear defining line with that ABM yellow, makes that very helpful. We also have rising lows now on the NASDAQ. That could put some downside pressure if we were maintaining the highs here, which at this particular point we've flattened out here on the NASDAQ as well. So that does pose some more risk as far as to the downside, unless a new high is able to be made within this. But looking at this configuration, that would be unusual. And you can already see the NASDAQ literally at that 0 point. I haven't got the yellow crossover, but getting the early indication. We'll see it first on the 50K, and of course, obviously on the 5K has already been showing plenty of weakness back and forth. Euro, from its massive climb, everyone was expecting Brit exit over the weekend. That didn't exactly happen, but now there's the possibility it's still happening with the deal versus no deal. Anybody's guess at this particular point, more likely than not. EU's got something in the works because they can't afford to let Britain go with a no exit strategy, because that would be devastating for the EU, because the current Brit exit deal pretty much leaves them in the EU without any power to do anything. It's a very interesting setup that they created. US oil still kind of flat at this particular point, though it's improved enough to give a P2 level here, and the green has maintained itself above red. So hasn't really converted to any further breakdown. It's kind of stabilized at this particular point, which is sort of healthy, and that's causing nothing for gold. No surprise there. We weren't really looking for anything. Intraday action, though, has been pretty fantastic. This was a started day back over here on the left side of the chart. Kind of a tough one because we didn't have anything other than just the green over cyan at this particular point. Orange couldn't quite make it below, so we were expecting a short-lived pop within that, and then as soon as you got a rejection would be the end of it. That actually happened early, and it still continued to move to the upside on that optimism as it got near the 100% Morganacci, which was actually a dip from earlier. And so you had the sell signal, but it really wasn't going the wrong direction, and then boom, then finally it turned around, produced even a secondary configuration as you get the BK that came in that was a bit late on it. And then once you ended up at the dip below, it was sort of like, okay, yeah, fine, I know I'm going to get a little pop here, so it's just a matter of waiting for any crossover point, which really didn't occur until later when we had the steel dip below the cyan here. We had the orange rising back above, green was below red. It's almost happened here, but you really didn't get any orange oomph out of it. This one led to a beautiful cascade down to new lows. Again, with no steel reset underneath red, you know that any pop is just an opportunity to be able to add into it, that they're going to be short-lived. Now, you can certainly take them from this configuration here when you have the green crossing, orange dip below, just so long as you recognize that those are likely to be relatively choppy. And when you don't get the green crossover complete, in this particular case, you're kind of looking at it, but you didn't have enough oomph with orange crossing back above steel at this particular point. It doesn't happen until right over here. You could actually get in the bar earlier. That's just a preference at that particular point. To open towards the 50% of this particular spot was just below, and then boom, that one cascaded beautifully down below. And it wasn't until all the way over here that we ended up with our dips below the red line as we got a strong turnaround coming off the blue candle right there. We had moved back below with the steel, but beautiful rising red DOC with the green having crossed above it, even could wait till the early part of the next bar too as well, just to make sure it crossed past that 13.5, which it did very early on. And then that led to a nice rally back all the way, which ended the short run as it was, and actually created a beautiful long setup with cyan under red for quite a while, till right over here we started getting all those signals. But of course, with the steel reset, you're not expecting it to go super far. What I love to see when I get that, though, is another dip below the red line, which happened right here, and that's what led to the open for futures dipping down to fill in that dip below the red line, which was nice. And then that produced a new buy configuration, and I put this one in a soft line so you can see you don't have the dip below the red line that you had here. So there's no expectation that this is going to be very much of a downturn, especially with the steel already having reset. And we can fast forward and see how that turns out, because you can almost see it right there. Boom. Pretty immediate turnaround within that setup. They still have green under red, which means that it could fade again, particularly if this orange spikes up here. Could be an opportunity. Again, same levels, the 94 range before we had the 77, how it balanced right on that one. So we're still within this exact same configuration. So it gives us some nice ranges in between. From a 5K chart with the 95, from the daily we know 90. We put up a 50K. Take a look at that right there. It liked the dip coming down below, but likewise has the dip below the red line. So that's going to be down here. Marker up right there. The low of that is right around 75. So again, right around that same 5K target number. So we're easily able to play that back and forth, but I think that's why I made this one a little thinner, so you'd be able to see that difference in relation to same kind of setup. It's just a big difference when you don't have that dip below the red line, because it doesn't necessitate the need for a fill back into that low area. So anything new happen, I will certainly put it up, but this has been some really nice swing action for us, despite the fact the market has really moved absolutely nowhere for the last week plus. As always, though, trade well. We'll talk to you later.